Bonjour mon petit chiflé, Amber here. I'm gonna move up actually. Bonjour mon petit chiflé, Amber here, and I have been wanting to do this video for so long. I have, I think, had it in my plans for the past maybe 3 years, but we are finally here. We're finally sitting down. We're finally doing it. Now, if you know me, you know I have been a reader since the beginning of time. You know, I have very distinct eras of my reading life, but for some reason, when I like sit down and think about my favorite books growing up, it's always very specifically like that middle school, maybe early high school, but definitely middle school era, those years. So I today am just kind of honoring that era and basking in my nostalgia a bit, and I am going to be starting this reading my middle school favorites reading vlog. I'm so excited. I am really excited because the main reason that I'm doing this video is because I will finally be rereading a book that I to this day consider one of my favorites of all time, The Two Princesses of Bramar. Which is why I started this TBR in the first place. As you're watching this, or as I'm filming this, the video is already finished. It's August. It's already edited. I just realized I had never finished I never did the intro. I wanted to kind of like go outside and do the intro and do something cool, but we're on our 6th heat wave of the summer, so that's not going to happen. I'm getting dressed today. I realized this outfit's kind of giving a little Lorelai Gilmore a little bit, which is going with the early 2000s middle school era theme, so I felt like this was really an appropriate time to just do this. So like I said, the video is already filmed, the books have already been read. All of the books were library books this time around, so I don't have any of them with me because I've already filmed it. The books have been returned. I will be reading Anna of Byzantium by Tracy Barrett, Letters from Rivka by Karen Hess, Briar Rose by Jane Yolen. I'll be reading Gathering Blue by Lois Lowry, and then my big two, my main two, the loves of my life forever and ever, Esperanza Rising by Pam Munoz Ryan, and like I said already, The Two Princesses of Bramar by Gail Carson Levine. Okay, so here it is. Enjoy July. So before I really start my reading and whatnot, I just wanted to sit down and have this kind of on record. I was just thinking, like, going into this, which of these books I think will still hold up, which ones I will still love, and just like a kind of guesstimate of my thoughts and rankings. I know without a shadow of doubt that The Two Princesses of Bramar has never wavered from its spot in my heart, and never will. I guarantee that it's still going to be the top of the list. I'm quite sure that Esperanza Rising, I'm still going to love Esperanza Rising. I think I've read this book like maybe 2 or 3 times in my time, and I just love this story. Gathering Blue, which I still have to go pick up from the library, probably is going to be somewhere. Yeah, I think those 3 I definitely will still have, if not the same feelings, because I'm a full-grown adult now. I still will really enjoy those, and those will be the ones I think that'll hold up the most, or the best. Anyway, I'm diving into Anna of Byzantium now by Tracy Barrett. I don't know when I will eventually do this intro. I'm not sure like if I will mention what the books are about at that time. This one, God, I don't remember off the top of my head. I know it takes place in like the Byzantine era. Anna, I believe, is like a princess. Anna Okay, the library sticker is over this part, something something entitled She's a Princess, Her Father's Firstborn, and His Chosen Successor. Someday she expects to sit on the throne and rule the vast Byzantine Empire. The birth of a baby brother doesn't perturb her, nor do the barbarians from foreign lands. Oh, okay. Who think only a son should ascend to power. Anna is as dismissive of them as are her father and his most trusted advisor, his mother, a manipulative woman with whom Anna studies the art of diplomacy. Anna relishes her lessons, proving adept at checkmaking opponents in swift games of mental chess, but as she matures into a young woman, her arrogance and intelligence threaten her grandmother. Anna will be no one's puppet. Almost overnight, Anna sees her dreams of power wrenched from her and bestowed on her little brother. Ill, boo, tomato, tomato. Bitter at the betrayal, Anna waits to avenge herself and to seize what is rightfully hers. Yeah, I didn't remember any of that, but I do remember, one, I loved this cover. I still love this cover. And I think this is the one that my cousin stole for a while. I made the mistake of leaving it in the bathroom, and then somehow it slipped out of my house. Anyway, so I'm starting with this. This is like 206 pages, but like tiny, easily read pages. And yeah, I am intrigued to be reintroduced with this story and to see how I feel about it now at the ripe old age of elderly. This update is brought to you by Turkey Hill Peach Tea, which rages through my veins. Hi. So, the last you saw me, I was starting Anna of Byzantium. And it's the next day. I'm still in this shirt, but I finished Anna of Byzantium. Let's see, briefly, because my camera's doing that fun little cute little thing it does where I'm talking and it's like memory card error, and I'm like, you're pissing me off. Anyway. So I think I briefly described what this book is about. I read the back because it's been like a billion years since I read it initially. At the start of this book, we are with Anna. She is living in a convent in the mountains. She is going about her day-to-day life. She is finally kind of gotten some responsibilities, joining some of the sisters that copy books. And she is finally in a place where she is being able to put her intelligence and her skills to use in a way she has not since being exiled as the princess of the Byzantine Empire. And from there, we are taken back to follow her journey through her childhood and being the firstborn of the emperor, his heir, being brought under the wing of his evil, crusty, nasty mother who wants to use her as a puppet, the birth of her youngest sibling, her little brother, and just the journey from her being raised to be the empress to, like I said, eventually being exiled into a convent after some sort of treason. First and foremost, I miss when YA books and teen reader books, if you are around my age, it's so hot in here, I'm so sorry, were just cute and dainty and petite and could fit so nicely in my hand. This seems so much smaller than when I read it the first time. It didn't seem like big, it just seemed a little chunkier when I was younger. This was, first off, this is actually, I found out this is a debut. Today I realized that this is a debut, and for a debut, this is a really well-written book. I was gonna say this is the author's, that's what debut means. Anyway, I kind of just jumped back to my roots of like being a historical fiction girly. Like that's literally what majority of this TBR is. I feel like this is, oh, I can't say that. I was gonna say even more kind of like older, maybe written for older teenagers than I was when reading this, but I was reading at like a higher like reading level. That being said, while I do love a bit of historical fiction, while I do love sort of like a royal historical fiction, those are my roots. I think if I ever do like my high school favorites, The Other Boleyn Girl or a slew of Philippa Gregory books is definitely going to be up there. Right now I am in this life, in this world, in this earth. I'm not entirely sure how much I want to be reading about these people. About these colonizing crusaders, because this takes place during, like I said, is during the Byzantine Empire, during the Crusades, according to my internet perusal. This was the fourth crusade, when they're supposedly taking back Jerusalem from like the infidels. So like, yeah, so glad that this is a teeny tiny quick book to fly through, because I'm just like, oh god, I don't care about these people. Truthfully speaking, none of y'all are really likable. You are all so entitled and just nasty people, you know? And like, obviously I guess Anna is meant to be entitled. It says it right there, of course she's entitled. But my god, she talks about her brother being spoiled and rotten, but I wouldn't call her rotten. She has like this level of like wanting to be honest and wanting to kind of like do the right thing, but she also is very entitled, very ambitious, and I know that's what she was groomed to be as the princess. I know I don't want it. I don't want it right now. No thanks. No thank you. Take it back. And I guess because this is based on a real person, we didn't really have like redemption really too much. She just had to reacclimate to being knocked down from the station she was raised in. That being said, I am however fascinated by I don't think I remember knowing this from my youth, that Anna, there's a plot line of her wanting to like write the history of like her father and the empire and whatever, and that is don't know where I was. Miss Anna did, while in exile, go on to write an 11-book epic about the life of her father called the Alexiad, which it says, today this book is the major source of information about that period in Byzantium. And I'm so fascinated by this like woman, in like this medieval woman historian and author, and I am a little inspired to do a little research on her for that aspect alone. Women at that time period are so often erased from history. Their accomplishments are often erased, diminished, put on men. So that is so interesting and fascinating to me. So now we move on. Hello friends, my phone cut off last time I was trying to talk to you when I was making a decision about which book to read. I've moved on to Letters from Rivka by Karen Hess. It was between this and Briar Rose by Jane Yolen. So it was truthfully between, God, It was between World War I anti-Semitism and World War II anti-Semitism, truthfully. So I figured I should read these books, these storylines, like kind of chronologically. This book is following Rivka, who is a 12-year-old Russian girl at the beginning of the story, and we are following her and her family's journey, kind of like escaping from Russia and the World War I, removing her brothers from the reach of the army, and escaping, like I said, from the anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish rhetoric and laws, and you know how this operates in Russia, and crossing the borders through Poland, and they're on their way to their final stop, which is America. Along the way, Rivka gets separated from her family due to some like health things. Yeah, this is her. It's like told through letters to a cousin that is still back in Russia. And I am 100 pages in of 145 pages, so I wanted to pop in before I go on to finish the book. Yeah, I don't have much to say. I just kind of want to keep all of my thoughts about the book until after I come back and I'm finished, and kind of like recap and look at Jacob's mom when I recap. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Happy Sunday. Another day, another library pickup. I am currently zipping around the corner again to pick up, I think, my final book for this TBR. I was supposed to pick this up yesterday, but I missed the library by literally 5 minutes. And handled that so well. Also taking advantage of this break in the weather. It feels so good out here, and after the hellish heat and the like monsoon storms, I'm gonna have to be outside while I can and never take normal weather for granted again. My battery's about to die.
Show, the best one. I'm walking out with pride in myself.
Oh, no rush. I just wanted to let you know that we're next. And I'm actually down to play Cover Winds.
They might.
Oh, hey Walters.
Hi.
For the little...
You made it! Yeah,
Hello friends, good afternoon. We are halfway through this TBR. I have finished Letters from Rivka as well as Briar Rose. I think the last time I spoke to you I was reading, sorry this lamp is, hold on. Last time I spoke to you I was reading Letters from Rivka. I don't have a ton to say. This is going to be a difficult video because the things I'm reading, I don't have too much input. I will say that reading historical fiction, reading World War II historical fiction is a little difficult, even if it is a middle grade book. The content matter and just reading about just a nation or at this point I guess a good chunk of a continent crumbling under the boot of fascism, and just seeing history cycling and repeating itself, and it's just I read Briar Rose, and I very quickly into starting Briar Rose I realized this was not the book that I thought it was. And then upon a quick Google I realized that I had put the plot of this book and another, this is World War I historical fiction, I just read that, I realized that this is World War II. I put the plot of this and another World War II historical fiction book that I read in middle school. I smushed them together, so I was thinking that two books were one book and that both books were this book. The other book, the one I actually wanted to read for this, is called If I Should Die Before I Wake, or If I Should Die, or something like that, by Han Nolan. I googled, not to be confused with Jane Yolen. That one is about a teenage girl. She is like a neo-Nazi, and she like gets into an accident or something and falls into a coma, or is being kept in a Jewish hospital, and essentially kind of like wakes up living the life of a Jewish girl during the Holocaust. And somehow I put that with this book that follows, this one that I found out is an adult book. It follows Rebecca, who is a journalist and In the beginning, she and her sisters are visiting her grandmother, who is dying. She has Alzheimer's. She's living her final days, and her grandmother has always told them the story of Sleeping Beauty and Briar Rose, and she tells it as if it's her story, and Rebecca makes a promise that she will find out the truth. She wants to know the truth of who her grandmother is, because they know nothing about her past, and it takes her on a trip back to Poland. And yeah, I put those two stories together. Once again, like I was saying, to be fair, I don't right now I don't want to read a story about a neo-Nazi. That's not the move, that's not the vibe. But like I was saying, it is so difficult for me to read books about the Holocaust and to know what is now being allowed to be done in the name of survivors of the Holocaust. That in the name of these people, another Holocaust is being committed. So now, like I said, we are halfway through this TBR. We only have 3 left, and now it's the big 3. I'm reading Gathering Blue by Lois Lowry. The big 3 being this, Esperanza Rising, and The Two Princesses of Bramar. I'm still waiting for either my hold for Two Princesses of Bramar to come in or to find my copy. Anyway, I'm reading Gathering Blue, which is the second in the Giver books. I read this one first, though, which follows Kira. She's recently been orphaned. Her mother died of an illness. She lives in this community that really doesn't value people who they deem don't have any value. Children, kind of women, especially like disabled people or people who they feel like don't contribute to the community. Kira was born with a twisted leg that she needs to use like a support cane, but she is a weaver, and instead of sending her to the field to the beasts, their government kind of takes her in and gives her an assignment to fix this robe for some important gathering. And essentially, I guess she's starting to discover some things about the world that she lives in and the people who are the guardians. And I read this book a couple times. I'm not sure what it is yet that kept me coming back to it, but everything's about to run out, so I'm going to talk to you after I finish. I just wanted to update you and let you know that progress. Hello, good afternoon. Today is July 12th, Sunday, July 12th, and second off, I cannot state how excited I am right now that I am starting Esperanza Rising, legitimately one of my favorite books for so long. I've read this book a good handful of times, and I'm just so excited to dive back in. I don't have to question if this is going to still stand up, if I'm still going to love it, because I know I am. Because I've loved it for so long. I'm just really excited. I'm excited. Hello, the air is on, so if you can hear that, I'm sorry. I know I look really ugly right now, but I recently got in from a day, and I have had Julie Chen Moonves, not right now, and I've had a day. I've had such a terrible day. Okay, the day wasn't terrible. I had a good everything else is alright, but like, we're day 3 of my period, and I wake up, Sam Neill has died. Y'all know what Jurassic Park is to me. Y'all know how much I love Jurassic Park. That man bears so much of the weight of my love of dinosaurs and my childhood dreams of paleontology on his shoulders, and I'm devastated. I killed a bee accidentally today. I killed a bumblebee, it landed on my arm and I didn't see what it was. I just felt something crawling on me and and legitimately every time I think about it, I start crying. Oh. And then I went to pick up some jeans, some shorts that I had ordered, and they don't fit. And now I'm behind with my reading. But I am reading now. I already decided that if I have to stay up late to just complete my goal for the day, I will, so I can stay on track, because my plan is, if I keep reading the way I have been, keep the way I've been reading, I will be finished this TBR by the middle of the week. I just have to go to storage to find my copy of The Two Princesses of Bramar, because my hold looks like there's no update on when it'll be, and it went from being expected back by the 11th to now, who knows. So I just wanted to give a little bit of an update. I am too tired to properly talk about my reading. I do want to say that I desperately wish this was my copy of this book, because I would love to be annotating this experience reading for the first time in years, and because I have so many thoughts and so many like feelings reading this book. I won't say that I didn't have before, because I don't remember, but that's it. That's all. I'm tired of the heat also. I don't know if I said that part. Reconvene a little bit. Also, I have been filming multiple clips for multiple things, and I've been standing this entire time, so please bear with me. I'm gonna be moving around. I'm sorry. So I'm pretty sure that I've talked to you about both of these books. I remember I was sitting in the kitchen, but now the fun part is going to be looking back on the clips and seeing if my camera actually got that. I don't remember what I said, or if I said anything of substance or important or anything that made sense. So just really briefly, I finished Letters from Rivka. Once again, this follows Rivka, who at the start of this book is a 12-year-old Jewish girl living in Russia during World War I era Russia. I think this is this after World War I? No, it's during World War I. I forgot, because the whole major plot point is that they run from Russia to avoid her brothers being taken by the army. Anyway, so this is the time of where Jewish people are heavily being persecuted, and the pogroms and whatnot. And like I said, this follows Rivka and her family escaping Russia on a quest to make it to America and presumably safety. Along the way, Rivka, because of illness, has to be left behind by her family, and this just chronicles that whole experience. It's told in letters to her cousin that are written in her Pushkin book. And I don't have too many thoughts. I read this very quickly. Something about this book really stuck with me. Obviously, when I was younger, I already explained to you many times that I was really a historical fiction girly, particularly World War II historical fiction, but this still falls into what I was reading a lot of at the time. And it's having a lot of historical fiction reads it's tough, even in a like middle grade young reader book, just reading about these cycles of fascism and oppression, and just watching history repeat itself, history cycle and echo, and just it's frustrating and infuriating. And most of my thoughts reading the book are more so about the situation that we're in as opposed to the book itself, because like I said, we're just following Rivka trying to recover and trying to rejoin her family, making her way to Ellis Island. I know I had a lot of thoughts on that part, I'm sure, when I read it the first time, because my Ellis Island field trip experience was really interesting. I haven't been back yet since, but I would like to. Yeah, I did really kind of get a little bit emotional towards the end when Rivka is finally reunited with her family and finally allowed into the country, but more so the moment with this little boy that she is formed an attachment with. But yeah, letters from Rivka. And then I went into Briar Rose, and I know I said this over here, but who knows if I actually have it. I quickly found out that this was not the book that I thought it was, that I had put the plot of this book and the plot of another book together. So I put Briar Rose, and I had to Google If I Should Die or If I Should Die Before I Wake, the whole thing, by Han Nolan, not to be confused with Jane Yolen, which clearly I did, but that one is also World War II historical fiction. This is a World War II historical fiction. This one follows Rebecca, who is very close with her grandmother. Her grandmother has always told her and her sisters, the story of Sleeping Beauty, Briar Rose, the princess whose village was put under a sleeping curse, and she was the only one essentially that survived, and she always told it as fact that she was the princess. At the beginning of the story, Rebecca's grandmother is in a nursing home. She is unfortunately living her final days. She has Alzheimer's, and she and her sisters are on their way to say goodbye. Once again, she tells the story because this is like one of the only things she is able to hold on to, and she makes Rebecca promise to basically find her castle, find her history. And because her family know really nothing about her, where she comes from, who she was before coming to America, Rebecca journeys to Poland she goes on a journey. She's a journalist also, so she's kind of making a story out of it as well, to retrace back her grandmother's footsteps, which leads her to Poland and the camp that nobody knew that she ended up in. First, this is not Before I Die, If I Should Die Before I Wake, which actually follows this girl. I don't remember her name, but she is a neo-Nazi, and I don't know if she's like an accident or gets injured or harmed or something, and she's in a coma, or just ill. I think she's in a coma, but she happens to be in a Jewish hospital. And when she kind of like falls under or goes to sleep, she wakes up living the life of this Jewish girl who is a victim of the Holocaust and going through that. So the way I always told the synopsis of this fictional story in my head was that this neo-Nazi girl wakes up living the life of a Jewish girl during the Holocaust, and in the end she ends up found in a ditch at a camp wrapped in briars. That's not the case. The ditch part comes from this book. The briars are not in the ditch. I don't know. We puzzled this thing together. But will I eventually maybe go on to read that book? Possibly. I am kind of glad that I mixed them up because I don't think I want to read a book about a neo-Nazi right now. No, thank you. No. Actually, that would kill the whole mood. This book, I didn't remember a single thing about it except for the fact the Briar Rose Sleeping Beauty part, and that the main character went to find like the truth about her grandmother, and that her grandmother, spoiler, I don't know, this book came out in the 90s, so if you haven't read it you probably weren't going to. Her grandmother was rescued out of a ditch at an extermination camp. I didn't remember anything else. This book is actually an adult book, so I mean that's not shocking. I was reading a lot of adult books at that age, but there are a lot of like references like sex and sexuality and stuff. I'm like, girl, did you even process any of this at like 11, 12, 13? No, she didn't. But yeah, I had this was heavy a bit in multiple ways for me personally. Once again, it's tough, and what I am having a hard time with is reading this horrific or stories from this like horrific time period and living in a time where this horrific genocide, right, is now a current Holocaust genocide demonic act is being enacted and allowed in the name of Holocaust survivors. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Especially when you know how that fake country treats actual Holocaust survivors on that land. I finished this book. And then I have also finished Gathering Blue by Lois Lowry. Now this book, I count it in like the top 3 and the big 3 of my middle school favorites. This is following Kira, who lives in this like dystopian town community. This is like the companion book to The Giver, and where The Giver's dystopia is in this like sort of like very advanced technological community, this is the opposite. It has regressed. It is more, what is the word I want to use? Primate is not the word I want to use, but it's more sticks and bones, you know, sticks and dirt, mud, whatever, I don't care. This is a society that is very disconnected, very kind of aggressive, and Kira lives in this world where, you know, the community kind of ostracizes anyone who they find less than, broken, useless to their community. Kira herself is disabled. She was born with a twisted leg that she struggles to use. In fact, she was meant to be given to the beasts as an infant, but her mother refused. Her mother has since died, so now Kira has to face life in the society that rejects her, essentially, and that she has to now navigate on her own and try to survive on her own. She is taken in by the council of this community and given a role as this like prime weaver for their big official holy almost gathering, and to weave this robe, the histories of their community in the robe. Meanwhile, Kira is unraveling and discovering a lot of truths about the community and the only world she's known, and even her family. And like I said, this has always been the part of the big three to me. When I think of like my favorites from that time period, it's Two Princesses of Bamar, Esperanza Rising, Gathering Blue. Now, having reread this book, I don't know why I've held it in such high esteem. This was not good. It's not very good. It was very, this whole storyline is very incomplete. And because all of the books in this series are kind of companion novels, it doesn't make sense for it to be so incomplete, for it just have been so abrupt and end as it did, and be so like unfleshed out. And I kind of want to reread The Giver now, because I'm like, am I hyping it up to something that it actually isn't? In my head, because I love that book as well. I read this one first though, so that's why I'm reading this in here. And I think I read The Giver in high school, so if I ever do my high school faves, which I am composing a list of for, I'll probably read that then. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I read that in high school. And also, like, Number of the Stars is also by Lois Lowry, and I know I read that. I know I read that in school, and I really liked that book too. So I don't know what happened here, but it shouldn't have. But as of last night, where are you? Speaking of the big three, I did finish Esperanza Rising. I love this book so much. I've always loved this book so much. So this book follows Esperanza, who has just turned 13, or she's turning 13 at the beginning of this book. She lives in Mexico essentially during the Great Depression here in the US. So what's that, like the 30s, 40s? I think it's the 30s. I don't know, whatever. She lives this lush, privileged life. Her father owns acres and acres of land. He is a like rancher, farmer. She's basically treated like a princess. She has her fancy gown, she has her servants, and her porcelain dolls that her father gets her every year for her birthday. Unfortunately, tragedy strikes and her father is murdered, and Esperanza and her mother and their close the servants that they are closest to, who are already planning to immigrate to California to work on a produce ranch, I guess, community. What is it called? Work for a farm produce company. Esperanza and her mother flee over the border with them. Her grandmother goes to stay somewhere else because she gets injured in the events that lead up to them having to leave. And until she gets well, she goes to stay with other family. Anywho, so this story follows Esperanza's complete 180 in lifestyle, and it's coming of age and really learning about privilege and colorism and racism and elitism and the jarring realities of, how she says it, life on different sides of the river. And each chapter is like kind of told through which vegetable produce season it is, and I just think that's really interesting. And I just love this book. I love the way it's written. I just love the way the world is written, and just the message of hope and that things can still get better, and even the determination of the people that she encounters and her family and loved ones, and just the newfound family she becomes a part of. And I just wish, I would love to just know what came next for these characters. And I just wish maybe like down the line Pam gave us just a little peek into what's going on and where Esperanza and Miguel are. I know they're married with their grandkids right now, and I'm just so pleased and happy and thrilled that this just felt so warm, and just, I don't know, you know, it just like my inner child is so pleased to reread this book one more time. I wish that this was my copy. I know I said this because I would have loved to have annotated this time around. There was a lot of thoughts and a lot of emotions in the 2 days that I read this book, and just, I don't know, it just filled me with so much comfort, you know? So now I should be right now starting the final book of this TBR, but the copy that I'm probably going to read is in storage, and I cannot go right at this moment to go get it or find it because I'm not quite sure where it is in my storage unit, because the hold that I have at the library, God knows when it's coming in. And that's The Two Princesses of Bamar, which is like my favorite book ever, you know? So I'm gnawing at the enclosure because I want to read this book, and my goal is to be done this TBR by the end of this week. What's going to happen after that, because we still have 2 weeks of the month, I don't know. But I really just wanted to let you know where I'm at, what's going on. 20 minutes, sorry about that. At least I won't have to really do a wrap up at the end. Hopefully next time you see me, I will be reading that book, or burning something probably. Not me weeping. Hello, good evening. You are not seeing my face right now because it's looking how it's looking. I am a little bit on bed rest at the moment because every muscle in my body is revolting against me. That being said, I have completed my TBR for the month. I have completed my middle school favorites. Let's get a round of applause. I wish I was like showing me so you could see that I'm very excited. And I still have like just about 2 weeks left of the month. So what I'm doing now, I'm moving on to just some general middle grade that's on my TBR. I'm about to start the Amari and the Night Brothers audiobook that I downloaded on Libby. I have book 2 on its way to me, so that's probably how I'll be wrapping this month up. I also have, in case I finish these in a relatively short amount of time, I possibly will read Ghost Squad by Claribel Ortega, which, if you watched my TBR Repeat Offenders video, is listed there. Yeah, I just wanted to update where I am and what I'm doing now that my TBR is actually completed.
Harper Audio present Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, performed by Imani Parks. 1. I'm sitting in the principal's office, again. In the hallway, on the other side of the glass door, Principal Merritt is getting an earful from Emily Grant's mom.
Hello friends, you find me in my house dress era. We live, we love. Anyway, today is July 30th, second to last day of the month, and I figured I should wrap this up. I have a little bit to talk about. The last you saw me, the last I spoke to you, I was still reading The Two Princesses of Bramar, and what a joyous experience. What a comfortable, like, kind of like soothing, like, I don't know, it's an experience, felt like being held, basically. Also, I'm recording on my phone right now because I'm not turning the fan off, so I'm hoping this might help with the sound. If not, that book absolutely holds up as one of my favorites. I fully see why I kept going back to it over and over the years. It is such a paving stone on my, I guess, like, path to being a fantasy reader, fantasy lover, fantasy consumer, but as well, I guess, as being a fantasy writer. I'm using that so generously. I think I've said this before, my years as a child, preteen, teenager, writing, my writings were absolutely heavily influenced by this book and Gail Carson Levine. And I'm so glad that I did this. I needed this now when I did it. I feel like I will continue to revisit it through the years when I just need something softer, something more, like a comfort read, which is essentially what this video is. I feel like she and Miss Esperanza are neck and neck for like the number one spot. Each brings something completely different that could push it over the other. Maybe like writing style itself or like pacing might go to Esperanza, but also just like the fairy tale, the adventure, the sisters would push the Two Princesses of Bramar, possibly. Also, the end of that book still makes me weep like a little baby. After finishing my TBR for the month, I moved on, kept with the middle grade, kept with the theme, and I reread Amari and the Night Brothers. I got the audiobook from Libby, which I really do need to utilize more, and just listen to that quick. I still holds up, still love it as much as I did the first time. I didn't realize how long it's been since I read that book. I think it was like 2021. So the reread was absolutely necessary, because afterwards I went into Amari and the Great Game, which picks up like a year after the end of the first book. Amari thinks after the way her first summer at magic school, I don't remember what this place is called, summer camp, concluded, and the way the things she ended up caught up in kind of rounded out. She kind of thought she'd have a much easier experience at camp. She'd just float and have like just like a fun time learning about her powers and the supernatural world. And that is not the case. The supernatural world is on the brink of war, and somehow it comes pretty squarely on her shoulders, and she is dropped into another investigation. But there are higher stakes. The fate of the whole world is at stake. The fate of her family and her friends is at stake. We have the opposing element that comes up at the end of book 1, which could throw this whole thing off, and power could fall on this side's hands. And there was a lot going on in that book. There was a lot going on in that book, and I am still kind of like sitting and processing how I feel about the book, but also like in comparison to book 1 and just how it continues the story. I still think this is a stellar middle grade series thus far, and I would have eaten this up if I had this when I was like 12, 13. I don't know when I'll get around to book 3. I don't remember the name of book 3. I do know book 4 came out recently, and I don't know if that's the conclusion. Low-key kind of hoping, because that means I can just easily catch up. And you know me, I'm on a mission to like, I'm concluding series. I'm wrapping up series this year. But yeah, this is a fun time. We love a magical black girl in this house. I always say Amari and Bree are cousins, and I will protect them both with my life. So like I said, today is July 30th. So like I said, I'm wrapping this up. I feel like I could squeeze something else in there. I'm just not sure what. I have been, between like today and yesterday, I've been reading some of Madness. I'm still trudging my way through this book. I read like 20 pages yesterday. I read 10 and I might try for like at least 10 more pages. This book is kind of difficult to read like big chunks at a time. It is really jarring and just upsetting. It's just a lot of it is just so infuriating and nauseating. So I am just taking my time. I would love to be finished this book, but here we are. So what I'm thinking, maybe I could just scrap it and just, do something else productive with my time, or unproductive, who knows. I have started my reread of the 5th season because I do intend to read The Obelisk Gate in August. I started that last night and I had to restart the prologue 3 times because my brain was not getting any of it. So I do want to try again today, but I'm thinking I also might stay on theme again and just quickly read The Vile Village and continue my series of unfortunate events reread. I think now, I've said it for the past 3 books, we are finally going into the actual first time reading portion of this. For the past like 3 books, I've said, oh, okay, I've finished the reread, now we're going into the first time experience, and started the book, and it's like, I've read this one, so I'm hoping, I'm pretty sure I didn't read this book. I don't remember anything about it, but I also might, this is a little thicker than I thought. I might try to get some of Wicked Beauty done. I've been putting this on my TBR for the past couple months and not getting around to it. This is such a sharp turn from the rest of my reading months, so I don't know. I might just put this off to August and then September and then October, but I don't want to do that because I want to get through a lot more of the series. And also, this is Achilles. No, this has nothing to do with anything. Okay. Oh yeah, actually it does a little bit. Especially with like the Odyssey coming out. Have I seen it? No. Will I see it? I don't know. I mean, my sister is in it, and the Queen of Genovia is in it, and my sister's husband is in it, and Edward Cullen is in it. So I might have to. Lupita Nyong'o's in it. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. It's almost 10 minutes. So thank you for experiencing July with me. I say this every month. I don't know if there's anything worth anything in this vlog. I hope there is. If you're watching it, then I've figured something out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like me, feel free to subscribe. All my places are down below so you can follow me, and I'll follow you back, and I'll see you very soon.